I never expected this to turn into a Walking Dead show, and I don't think it will. But if I'm going to do a weekly Geekly show, there's no way in hell I can't talk about The Walking Dead 193. What appears to be, and out of the mouth of the man himself, the end of the Walking Dead comic. Now, I've been reading it since about the prison, right before the prison, or when those comics came out. I went back, obviously, and I started at the first one, and I've read them now every month or every twice a month when they do that over the summer, since about the prison after I caught up. This was a big one. I don't think any fan saw this coming. I really did believe that at the end of 192, with a confirmed dead Rick Grimes, that was like, it was leading somewhere. And there's a million stories that are unanswered and things that could have happened and should have happened and would have happened. But I think Robert Kirkman wrote a fantastic ending to this. And I didn't even get dolled up for you guys. Like, I just read this, cried a little bit, made my son breakfast. Yeah, you see my priorities there. Walking Dead comic. Feed children. This morning I got a copy of it. Sat down at my desk and I started doing work, but the minute I just couldn't get anything done until I got through that comic. And it was good. It was great that they did 72 pages. I would have loved to have seen almost graphic novel size. I think that would have been even better. But with the time and pages provided, Robert Kirkman wrote, in my opinion, the only ending you could have written that could end up happy. You know what I mean? Like, so this is huge spoiler territory if you're ever going to read the Walking Dead comics, or if you haven't read 193 yet, you should definitely stop watching this and come back after you've watched it. I'm just going to touch on a few points that stood out to me, and we'll go from there. So the comic opens up with Goddamn dog. Sorry about that. We have this neighbor, cutest little kid in the world, Simon, and he's got to be about, I don't know, 5 or 6 years old. I'm terrible at judging age, and every morning now, like, I don't know if he waits to see if the boys are going to come out or not, but he comes across the street and he knocks on the door like it's like the police or something, and my dog freaks out. That's a story for another day. Anywho. So the comic opens up with a walker heading towards this farmhouse, and a man comes out and kills it, and this man happens to have an eye patch. This man appears to be in probably his early 30s. This man is Carl Grimes. That's right, they did a huge time jump. They must have done like a 20-year, 15-year time jump. We see Eugene is working on the railroad, and they're opening it up. It sounds like to the west. I don't know if that just means further west from Virginia, or if they're going all the way to the west coast. But whatever it is, it's pretty awesome, because now you got this, travel option to get places other than walking or trying to find a car that's working. And I'm sure at this point, even though they didn't show it in the comics, most of those things we probably have auto mechanics. I mean, they have entertainment, they have football games, they have all this other stuff. So it leads me to believe that they've advanced their civilizations way beyond anything we saw in 192. Come to find out, this walker is part of a sideshow. Maggie's son, Herschel, because Maggie becomes the president of the Commonwealth, she hasn't had the time to invest in raising her child properly, and so he's been given a lot of things due to the fact of her stature in the Commonwealth. And so he has this sideshow of a cage of walkers, because no one sees walkers anymore outside of the safe zone. The safe zone has been pressed out so wide now that, like, they just don't have to deal with walkers anymore, and everything is fine and dandy pretty much. So Herschel has this sideshow of walkers in a cage, and when Carl finds out about it, well, first he gets put on trial because he killed the walker and it was a possession of Herschel Green, which I don't know how they allow something like that to happen anyway. But later on in the story, Carl gets let off easily, and then he ends up killing all of the walkers that he had in this little cage. And then he takes off. He goes to Negan's house, or where Negan's been staying. There's a grave for Lucille there. And they say that no one sees them anymore, but the supplies disappear. They get dropped off, they disappear. So I really feel like his story is tragically beautiful. Like, here's a guy who, before all of this, was, a horrible husband and a gym teacher. And through it and losing people, he just lost his mind, got angry, and used violence to get his way. And, well, you know the Negan story. And to see that he's continued through 20 years, that he may not be behind bars, he's still in his cell. He's definitely, he has, what's the word for it? Exiled himself from everyone else. I think he, in a way, came to a point. They don't even have a word with Negan. They do. You see him putting flowers at Lucille's grave at the very end when Carl's telling his story, and the story just is beautiful, and it tears at your heartstrings, and it sums up everything. So there is this little bit of a theme that goes on throughout the comics and talking about entertainment and watching TV. And I really feel like somewhere deep down, Robert Kirkman maybe isn't happy with the TV show or where The Walking Dead have gone to. It's like now we need The Walking Dead to live ourselves. As it was in the comics, it's like now we're like, it's not, maybe it's intended plan. Maybe, I haven't read the editor's note yet. I didn't read it when it leaked a few days ago because I didn't want to know anything. But now that I know that and I've read through it, it definitely seems like there's something else going on there. There was another reason. But either way, it was timed pretty well. Like the death of Rick Grimes and then this episode. I would love to have seen just a little bit more story. But all things considered, this was a fantastic tale and a good way to end it. Carl and Sophia together, they have a daughter. Her name is Andrea. Michonne isn't going by that name anymore. She feels like it was a persona that she took on when she had a failed marriage and lost her children to the trials, which is what they're calling it, which makes sense because, people were put through a lot and had to deal with a lot. Eugene is the one working on the railways, and he's got the rest of the saviors with him. And actually, Laura comes up to Carl, which is interesting to see that certain characters did survive through all this, and says, "I'll never forget what your father did, killing Dwight." And of course, Carl has his speech moment where he's like, "You wouldn't be alive. None of these people were alive today without my father." And it was this whole comic was kind of Carl's story alongside with what Rick Grimes really did, or the idea, or the concept of Rick Grimes, the fact that he could have been a bad guy, but he stuck to who he was and came out on the other side. It's just sad that he didn't get to see his granddaughter. It's sad that he didn't get to see what he and the people he traveled with were able to accomplish. I mean, I think he saw a lot of it before then, but it's just sad that he wasn't in this last one. And so, I mean, without Rick, the comic was going to be something else for me, I think. I probably would have kept reading it. I love continuity, and I love stories that go on, and you continue to learn and meet new people, and things change. And I love that theme when it comes to a story or a book or a movie. And so there was much success in The Walking Dead through that. And I think it ended the only way that I'm very satisfied with it. The fact that Carl gets off on the charges. Michonne is now Judge Hawthorne, by the way. And so she's like, "I'm not going to send you to jail," one of my favorite people. And he gets let off, and he's free to go live with his family again. There's another shot of Sebastian and his mother. He's still in jail after killing Rick Grimes. Just a quick shot of it. There's no words exchanged or anything like that. There's another scene that shows Aaron and Jesus, and they're together, and they're off somewhere else, and it's funny, because when people are interacting, they're like, "Oh, I haven't seen you," and blah, 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 and so... Okay, I'm cutting this in here, so if the light or sound is a little different, you'll know why. I forgot to talk about a certain scene in the comics, and I realized it when I got to the end of my edit. And it's a scene with Herschel. Herschel confronts Carl about what he's done. And he talks to Carl about how being that close to the walkers made people scared, and it kept them scared so that they know that threat is still out there. But it also made him feel like he thought his father felt, and he felt like his father got overlooked through all of this. In a way, I kind of think he did. I almost think that if anyone else would deserve a statue, it would have been Glenn, because Glenn was such a significant part of it before Rick Grimes. He was the one that initially saved Rick Grimes and brought him into all of this. And of course, Rick came into his own and became the leader of this group of people. But for Herschel to mention how it affected him and how it felt like he felt like his father felt, and it made him feel, I guess, closer to his father or whatever, I thought that was a really big moment, and we'll never know where that goes or if there's a story. Maybe we will. I did read most of the editor's note at the end by Robert Kirkman. It's really long. I was actually going to read it at the end so that you guys could hear it, but it's out there on the internet. You should definitely check it out. I'm going to try to finish reading it later, but I didn't think this video was going to be complete without at least talking about that scene ever so briefly. Back to me. I'm just overwhelmed with the comic, so I hope this comes across as message received. I loved it. I hope if you guys enjoy The Walking Dead, you take the time to go back and read the entire 193 comic series. There's some offshoots for Michonne, and there's some offshoots for Negan as well, which are really interesting, and you should check those out. But yeah, 193 is the end of the Walking Dead comic as far as I can tell. I mean, they could easily pick it up at any point or start a new series with where they left off. With that time jump, it is a whole new world. And sure, there's still probably millions of walkers out there, but now they've found a way to live with them and get them out of their area. Push them out of their safe zone. Like a turd. Thank you guys for stopping by and checking us out. If you guys are loving watching these as much as I'm loving making them, please consider liking, commenting, and subscribing. Throw a comment down below and click that little bell icon. It'll let you know whenever I put a new video up. These are going to get a little sporadic over the next week or so because it's the 4th of July. Carol's got 4 days off. I've got 4 days off. I don't know where life's going to take us over these next 4 days, but bear with me. I will be back. I'll have more to say. When don't I have something to say? Don't forget to make somebody smile tomorrow and make yourself a better person tomorrow than you were today tomorrow. So make the world spin a little bit happier together, and let's sing and dance in the sun and in the rain as one, my brothers and sisters. Live life to the fullest and love every moment of it, because you just never know when that last moment's going to come for you. However, never live in fear of that moment. Always live in love and never let your inner child die. Love the adventure. Take care of yourselves, take care of one another, and take care of those around you who can't take care of themselves. They're the ones that need it the most. I'm Jason Oliver. This is Weekly Geekly, brought to you by the Vodkast, and I'll catch you guys a little bit further on down the road. Take care.